With graduation season upon us, what advice do you give to a college graduate? That's what we're going to talk about on this episode of Friends Talk Financial Planning. Hi, I'm John Shear, and I run a fee-only financial planning practice in Middleton, Wisconsin.
And I'm Bridget Sullivan Mermel, and I've got a fee-only financial planning practice in Chicago, Illinois. John, you just mentioned college graduates, but I think this is good for high school graduates, particularly if they're not going on to college too. So, what are your thoughts there on what do you tell people
Yeah, no, that's
going
great.
out in the world?
Yeah,
What do you say?
it's on college that on my mind because my goddaughter is having her graduation party coming up. So I'm thinking about that. But you're exactly right. It's like, listen, when you're moving on to the next stage in your life and going to work, what do you do? And for
Right.
me, there's basically two things, and it circles back to for us the five fundamentals of fiscal fitness that we both follow as part of our involvement with the Alliance of Comprehensive Planners. And on my list, when I do it, it's always number one and number five. The first one is save 10% of your income into permanent savings. And by permanent, I mean not saving for a car, not saving for a vacation, but things that are going to be in your savings account, 401k, 403b, in your bank account for the rest of your life. And then, so that's number one, save 10%. And number two is don't get into credit card debt. Avoid consumer debt, right? And if you can do, and it sounds really simple, but if you do those two things, I swear that's 80 to 90% of the game. So those are
Yeah.
the two big takeaways in a nutshell for me. Does that resonate with you or what you talk about with people?
Well,
What else?
I look at it from two different levels too. So it's good financial management. So it works on that level. But the other level it works on is that I think it helps people stay engaged with their finances.
Hmm.
And I think it's also a key to living sustainably. So if you are doing these things, you're living within your earnings, which is a sustainable situation for yourself. So I think it ties into some other things that people are often looking for, which is how do I get engaged with this? And like being intentional and engaged and contributing like to the overall environment and living sustainably, just like you recycle.
Yeah.
Like why do I recycle? Well, it helps me live sustainably. And as I've gone through my life, we've gotten better and better about this. I think that most people admit we have a long way to go, but it helps.
Yeah, no, that's a great thing, that part of the greater good, right? And by
Right.
doing good for yourself.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one thing that I think about with this whole topic is it's so, it's got to be so confusing and complicated feeling for somebody. You're getting out of high school, you're getting out of now you're going and you got a job, right? It's great, I got money and all these things to think about. Now you got to think about taxes. Now you got to think about saving and rent or a mortgage, all these different things. And really the advantage of it for me is boiling it down, right? These things are not complicated. Save 10% of your income, don't spend more than you make, and don't take on credit card debt you can't pay off. But they're incredibly difficult as well, like so many things that are meaningful. And it's not you don't have to know about all the investment types and you don't need to be a tax expert, you don't need to do all those things. If you just save 10% of your income and don't go into credit card debt that you can't pay off every month, that those basics really apply. And on a similar level, I'll just share like one thing that I talk about with people when I talk about with my goddaughter who's graduating is when you come out of school, you're making no money, right? And if you get a job making whatever you're making, 40,000, 50,000 a year, whatever it is, it's like all the money in the world, right? I go from zero to, oh, this is great.
Right.
Well, if my job's at $50,000, it's all the money in the world. If it's at 45,000, it's still all the money in the world compared to last year.
Right.
And it's saving that 10%, that $5,000. If I start with that habit, you just get used to it over time. If I start spending all my income, and now at some point I say, holy moly, I better start taking care of my financial situation, and I've got to cut 10% out of my budget. Boy, that is a much harder thing to do. It's so much easier to start at that level and develop that habit than it is to go back the other direction. And you and I both have folks all the time in their 20s, 30s, 40s that need to start and cutting out of their budget. And golly, that's tough.
Yeah, exactly. The other thing I want to mention is that I've seen this work well with artists, even, and people that aren't making that much, if they have this mentality, it works over the long term. The other thing I would say is that if I had to pick one, like people say I can only do one of these,
Yeah,
I would say it's save 10%.
yeah,
Because I have seen people that they save 10%, they just knock it away in their 401k, and they always get credit card debt. But the 401k, it's like it can be the little engine that could,
yeah,
if they've invested it in anything, even in the target date fund.
right.
And if they just keep doing that, I have seen people where it really works. Just doing that works.
The other thing, you reminded me of one thing I wanted to say before we wrap up here, is when we talk about that 10%, for me anyway, it's when you start off, save 5% in like a bank account, savings
Right.
account, that's going to be my long-term savings, my
Yeah,
security blanket, and 5% into the 401k or company IRA, that retirement
that's a
plan.
great idea.
And then after a few years, 3, 4, 5 years, now I got a nice little pot of money
Right.
in my savings account. Then I can take all 10% and put it into my retirement plan. So that, just as a comment on that, is I do tell people, split it up, half into just permanent savings and half into long-term retirement investing.
The other thing is that if people want to save more, that's totally
Oh,
fine.
yeah,
You
right.
can save more. But most people that I talk to want to strike the balance between enjoying now and being set for the future too. And so that's what the 10% really allows you to do. But if you want to save more, that's great. The other thing is that you might say, I can save more now. And you're not committing to that for the rest of your life. So sometimes people can save more now, but then they save less in the future. That's fine too. That's a great way to get going too.
Right. Super point that those are kind of minimums, right? Like that's the baseline that we're talking about with that. And
Yeah.
that's maybe a great way to wrap up and circle back, that the two big things, advice, it sounds like for both of us, for college grads, are save 10% of your, at least 10% of your income, and don't go into credit card debt, and you're going to be in really good shape.
Great. With that, let's wrap it up. I'm Bridget Sullivan Mermel, and I've got a family financial planning practice in Chicago. And I'm with John Shear. He's got a family financial planning practice in Middleton, Wisconsin. The name of our show is Friends Talk Financial Planning. And there's two things we like to mention at the end of the show. One is we're both members of ACP, or the Alliance of Comprehensive Planners. If you're interested in the way that we talk about money and you're looking for a family planner, ACP is a great place to look, and you can find them at acplanners.org.
And the other thing is to make sure to subscribe to the channel. That helps other people find us and helps raise our awareness so that we can get the message out to more people that we can help. And with that, thanks, Bridget.
Thanks, John.